Hey, also, this is the first episode in our actual step-by-step rod building process. This rod is going to be for Jackson from Jacksonville. Fishing with Jax is his YouTube channel, right?
Yep.
Jax Triple X. Fishing with Triple X Jax.
XXX.
Oh, it's not Triple X Jax. It's Jax
It's Fishing with Ja XXX.
Okay.
So
okay.
Fishing with Jax.
So yeah, see if you can find it. Anyway, so we talked to Jackson quite a bit about how he fishes, what he fishes for, the area he fishes, and what rods he currently uses. We went over a bunch of different blanks with him, and what he settled on was a casting rod for lighter stuff, but Jackson does a lot of kayak fishing, he does some beach fishing, he does some bridge fishing, so...
The kid puts in work.
Yeah, he hits a lot of different areas, a lot of different fishing styles, so we settled on a blank that we thought might be best to cover all of that. Maybe not everything individual perfectly, but will work for all of those fishing techniques that he uses. And Taylor, you want to tell us about the blank we picked?
Yeah, so... We presented several options to him so he could weigh in on it. It's always tough when someone lives that far away. He lives 4 hours away, and he's young, so it's not like he could just jump in a car and come check out some blanks. Normally we would tell people, hey, why don't you come by, feel a couple blanks, see what feels right to you. But this we had to do over the phone. Not a big deal. I think we were able to land on a good selection. He, as Jason said, he throws some lighter stuff, but he also gets into some big fish. So, we wanted something that definitely had enough backbone to handle a serious fight.
Yeah, if he got into a big black drum next to some pilings on a kayak, we wanted him to be able to pull the fish out and not get wrapped because the rod didn't have enough power.
Yeah, so... but we wanted to be light enough that he can also toss, a quarter-ounce bait and feel the bait and not feel like he's just casting a blank line or something. So, so we went with the Phoenix Recon Elite. This is the C90 or C796. This blank actually has a very
Taylor
soft spot in my heart because one of the first probably 10 rods I ever built in my life was one of these blanks, and I still fish it to this day. Every time we go out, I'm throwing a shrimp jig on one of these blanks. Caught a ton of fish on it. I know for a fact it can house in a 44-inch snook.
Ooh, bragging rights.
I'm just saying. I'm gonna name drop.
Okay, show off.
It ain't no 47 and a half, right?
Well, you got that one beat with the 48 too.
Ah, man, you're right.
Yeah. So, fuck me.
Anyway, I don't know if you guys can see it. This blank got a really cool finish on it. They put a carbon wrap on probably the lower, I'd say, third of the blank. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that carbon weaves add to the structural integrity of a blank, but they definitely look cool. And the action on this...
it's another layer of carbon, so it definitely helps some.
Yeah,
it's not going to turn a 20-pound class rod into a 40-pound class rod.
No,
but it adds a little strength.
No, but the thing that always got me is when they advertise carbon weaves, graphite is woven carbon.
Oh yeah. Carbon fiber is graphite.
Every graphite rod blank is technically a carbon fiber blank. When people refer to carbon fiber, they're talking about a 1K weave or a 3K weave, which I believe this is a 1K, I think, because it's a smaller weave pattern than, let's say, the
Judge or
the American Tackle 3Ks.
Bushido
3K being a 3K weave, I believe. So, but the action on this thing is super fun. It's a fast action rod. It's heavy power. I would say that this is probably used most often as a flipping stick for bass in heavy cover.
Yeah, I mean it's an inshore blank technically by Phoenix, or not an inshore.
No, it's a freshwater blank. Yeah, no. If we want to get technical, it is a freshwater blank. But in my experience, the difference between a freshwater blank and a saltwater blank is just the water you're throwing it in.
Yeah, I mean,
it's in a saltwater, in the intercoastal for snook, it's now a saltwater blank.
Yeah. I mean, one of my favorite rods is that Phoenix M1, the 8-foot, that started out as a freshwater blank, and then later on they created an inshore series with blanks that were similar. So, I mean, we fish a lot of rods that are built on technically freshwater blanks, but doesn't make them less powerful for saltwater.
Yeah. So the lure rating on this blank is a 3/8 ounce up to 2.5 ounces. So we can get down real low, throw some light little paddle tails on the flats if we need to. But if you really got to break out like a 1 ounce swim bait or even a 2 ounce swim bait and chuck that thing in well, I guess it would be like Mayport where he is.
Yeah.
But in the intercoastal heavy current, you don't need to be afraid to do that. The line rating on this blank is a 14 to 35 pound. So this blank actually for its weight and its feel, it's very versatile. It's got a lot of different applications, and like I said, I fished one for a long time and I use it all over the place for all kinds of stuff. So that's what we are going to.
Oh wait, you gotta show everyone what we do anytime someone hands us a blank. We grab the blank by the back end and slap it like that.
Slap the ass.
And you see the type of action it has. You see how much power it has in the back end by how much it flexes and how fast the action is at the tip based on where the tip starts to wobble at. And you can feel on this blank, it's fast action, but it's also got a lot of power for how light the blank is. And then the other thing that we do is, you want to grab the old tip of that? Oh, are you scared?
No, I just think it's weird when you say grab my tip.
I didn't say grab my tip. I said grab the tip of that.
What I heard was
words
grab
in my
my
mouth.
tip. I mean,
man, Taylor. So, anyway, put some pressure on the blank like that, and you can see how much power that blank has. I mean, I'm giving nothing, and
yeah,
it loads up really fast.
Yeah,
it's got a lot of power.
This is kind of, some people call it load testing. We load test the blank.
But we do it by feel. We're not going to load up weights on the end of it and try to lift them.
Not in this video. This one, I will fully endorse because I've been using mine pretty aggressively for about 6 years now, and
maybe longer.
Yeah, and not being gentle with it either. I lay into that thing, so I can endorse this blank and say this thing can take it.
And then the next step in the rod building process is choosing a seat. Taylor, you are the casting rod master.
I'm the
so
big
you want to tell us
guy.
about this seat?
Okay, so this seat here is the seat's made by Fuji. It's an exposed blank reel seat. I believe it's the ASCM model. The thing I really like about these blanks, I mean, Fuji seats for graphite seats, they're great. I know that a while back there was some issues with some corrosion, some rusting on the retainer around the hoods, but I think they did a pretty good job of creating some corrosion control that really helps that. I've got these things that are 10 years old and work perfectly fine. The graphite doesn't wear too bad. I really like the exposed blank seats, and the reason for that, and you can probably already imagine, is once you get an exposed blank in a casting rod, this is where you're putting your finger, right? So you're holding your reel, you're palming your reel. This is like having your finger literally on the pulse. Having that exposed blank right there, all the vibration that lure is sending up that line and into those guides and into this blank, you feel through that spot on the seat.
It's not insulated by the graphite or any arbors if you have to build the seat up or anything like that. You're getting the best feel of what's going on through the tip of that rod as possible.
Exactly. So I fish these seats on a good amount of my rods. Once you get into some of the heavier swim bait rods like 1089s or United Composites, or some of those, they've got a larger diameter, they're heavier, and they don't make seats, exposed blank seats that fit them. So at that point, we switch up to a casting seat that you still feel, but not quite as direct.
Not quite the same.
You don't feel it quite as much. This thing, you will feel your lure brush against grass. I mean, you will feel everything. Especially with this blank. This is very sensitive blank. So
we've got our reel seat selected. Next thing we're going to do is decide on grips. Again, we talked to Jackson and he wanted to do cork grips. When we do cork grips, we don't do any pre-shaped grips. Everything is, these individual selections of these little cork rings, and we decide what we want it to look like.
These are his grips right here, right?
Yes, those are going to be made into Jackson's grips. As far as the sizing on them, we went with a little bit smaller because it is a casting rod. It does have a shorter butt length. So, we went with roughly a 4-inch fighting butt. I think it's a 2-inch rear grip and then a 3-inch foregrip, which should balance out nicely with the reel seat still providing enough space in between the fighting butt and the rear grip that you can still see the blank. We're going to get a little decal in there for him, so there's enough space for that as well. And yeah, we're going to kind of do a fast forward thing of putting these grips together to glue them, and then we'll go through the process of shaping them.
Yep. In the next video, we'll get some glue action going, and then
get dirty.
And then we'll get dirty.